Hello, sir. Welcome to the Banking News.
Thank you.
Thank you. And will you give us a short introduction of your as a great king, who you are and how?
Sure. So I'm a futurist. I'm an author. I run a couple of best-in-class podcasts, Breaking Banks, #1 fintech and banking podcast globally, and The Futurists, the #1 futurist podcast globally. I founded the Futurists Network, which is really what brought the Futurists Xsummit here to Dubai this year. I've written 8 books. My latest book, Branch Tomorrow, we just launched in Nepal and Bangladesh most recently. I'm driven by the potential of the future and trying to educate the world on what's coming.
Yeah, I saw you are advocating every time about the future of the things, future of the everything. So, how everyone is talking about the present and this time, but you are talking about the future. What is that? What is the main thing behind it?
No, I think the key element is, the human species as a whole, we tend to be quite good at adapting, but not good at planning. And climate change is good evidence of that, right? That we really haven't done a lot of planning. Humans, we tend to be quite good at adaptation, adapting to problems, but we're terrible at planning. So if you look at what is going to happen with artificial intelligence and climate change and all of these things, we're not really good at planning for these futures. Even today, you'll see many people debating whether climate change is real or not, or debating whether AI is going to take jobs or not, instead of us planning how to integrate artificial intelligence and how to anticipate the changes that are coming over the next 20 to 30 years. This is really why we put on the Futurists Xsummit in Dubai, is that that sort of exponential growth of technology, the climate impact, all of these things, that they are going like this, but policy adaptation and human adaptation tends to move slower. So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to accelerate that policy gap. We're trying to improve human understanding and knowledge about what is coming in the future, so that as a species we're better prepared for what comes next.
As I found that many regulators are not proactive and not ready to implement the new technology adaptation. How you fill that gap?
Look, I think what is really key to understand, particularly in the banking space, is that banking is already predominantly a technology initiative. Today, if you look at banking, even for regular customers, they will use digital technologies like a phone 350 times for every one time that they see a human at a bank. And that's going to go up significantly over the next few years. And also today, all of the fastest growing banks and financial institutions in the world are technology companies. In the top 50 fastest growing financial institutions, there's not one single traditional bank. And that's not because these are small organizations growing quickly. Nubank, WeBank in China, Nubank in Latin America, these players, they are they're now the biggest players in their representative markets. Today, 4 billion people use a fintech as their daily bank, the top 20 fintechs. Only 2.5 billion are using traditional banks. So already technology-based banking has won this battle. And that's even before we start talking about artificial intelligence. So when we think about banking in the future, it's all going to be about technology. Everything we learned about banking in the last 100 years, that regulators have spent the last 100 years building, is not going to work in the future. So we need to be focused on the tech.
You are also focusing on South Asia, banking in South Asian countries as well.
Yeah.
How you find the regulators or their policies? They are proactive or they are future ready or not?
Well, let's take 2 examples. The Chinese market is a very progressive market in terms of regulation. In fact, we could argue that China's 10 years at least ahead of the United States right now. in terms of regulatory adaptation. Singapore has been one of the leading regulators globally, the MAS, with the work of Supendu Mahanti and his team there as an example. If we look at new banking digital licenses being offered, Hong Kong and Singapore did this many years ago. China, of course, has done this. So, Southeast Asia has got many examples of, world-leading efforts in this respect. We have, PhonePe and eSiwa in Nepal with over 50% of the adult population using this tech. Bangladesh with bKash and so forth. There's a lot to focus on in terms of progression there across Southeast Asia for sure.
What you realize that how important is to teach the regulators,
Yes.
to educate the regulators to adapt the future technology.
No, it's very critical. Regulators can hold markets back, and the best example of this right now is, of course, the United States. The United States is not leading in banking anymore. In fact, they've fallen significantly behind other markets. I would say today that even Africa and Latin America are ahead of the United States. And this is because the regulators have favored the incumbent banks in the market. So this has had the effect. If regulators are conservative in terms of their approach, then ultimately this means competitively the banking industry in that market falls well behind the most advanced markets. So this is the cautious tale for regulators. If you think about all of this technology as risky and you want to slow this down, that means that on a global basis, you will fall behind other geographies who are already moving ahead rapidly. You cannot afford to make this mistake today. You have to transform from regulators to technology infrastructure that is the heart of the economy, and this is going to take a concerted effort over the next 20 years.
So we are talking about technology, and then people who lives in Nepal, Bangladesh, India still are away from internet connections.
Yes.
And then they are not getting to the technological education. How you see labeling their life? With the technology?
One of the things has been that smartphones have been really a major boon to this, for digital inclusion. And to illustrate, we carry around these, you and I both have iPhones, but the average smartphone today, if you had tried to build this in 1990 in terms of compute power, it would have cost you $50 or $100 million to build a computer in 1990 that can do what our smartphone can do today, and we're carrying it around in our pocket. So we have incredible compute power at our fingertips today. And the next thing will be artificial intelligence integrated into this platform and integrated into technologies like smart glasses and into our home and cars and things like that. So this is an extraordinary opportunity, and the cost of smartphones is plummeting. So, before digital inclusion was a challenge because the cost of these devices were expensive, but now with cheaper Chinese units and so forth coming about, this technology is truly going to be accessible to everyone on the planet.
Nowadays, the payments has been very seamless in the cross-border and everything due to the technology and the basis. How you see the future of payments in banking and fintech?
Well, so today, this year, about 60% of retail commerce will go through mobile phones and wallets, 30% through plastic cards and tokenized cards, and 10% cash and other things. And that's really, that sort of happened over the last few years, that's accelerated. But the next thing, of course, is autonomous payments, and it's AI-based payments. So you'll just talk to your phone and say, hey, make a payment to my friend for $50, and it will automatically do it. And the CEO of Visa said within 2 or 3 years, we can expect people to do 70% of their discretionary spending on agentic AI as an example. And of course MasterCard, our sponsor here at the event, is doing amazing things with agentic AI and stable coins for that purpose. So machine-to-machine payments is going to be the next big boom, automated payments. And this is why we need to start thinking about banking infrastructure in a more structured way around technology and AI.
in after 5 to 10 years, we will see without banking without human being, right?
Yes. Well, I think the important thing to think is that I like a great quote from the CIO of WeBank in China, Henry Ma, and he said, "If you have to see a human at a bank, it's a design failure." And I think that's the way to think about it. It's not that we're taking humans away from people for banking. It's if you need to see a human, then your bank is broken. Because today with the technology we have, you can deliver all of the utility of banking and financial services in real time through the technology layer. Humans only slow that down and make it more complicated today.
Thank you for your wonderful words and then future perspectives. I wish I could have a more and more conversation with you in the future as well.
Thank you. Well, that'd be delightful. I'll just leave your listeners and your readers with the final comment, which is we'll see you in the future.
See you in the future. Thank you. Thank you.